Welcome to your personalized deep dive
into the world of deep work.
Looks like you've sent us a whole stack of reading on this. Looks like some excerpts from Cal Newport's book.
Yeah.
Deep work, right?
That's right.
All right, let's unpack this.
Okay.
You're clearly interested in boosting your productivity and maybe finding more purpose in your work.
Yeah.
And this book seems like the perfect place to start.
Absolutely.
We're going to pull out the most fascinating bits,
Yeah.
the actionable advice, and a few aha moments that will hopefully leave you thinking differently about your day. I'm excited to dive in.
What's fascinating about this book
Yeah.
is how it goes beyond
Okay.
the usual time management tips.
Right.
And dives into the psychology, neuroscience, and even philosophy behind deep work. It connects how we work to why we work.
I like that.
Yeah.
So before we get too deep,
Okay.
how does Newport actually define deep work?
Yeah, good question.
The phrase gets thrown around a lot these days.
Absolutely it does.
So let's nail it down.
Yeah.
Get specific.
Okay. So he defines it as
Okay.
cognitively demanding activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration.
Okay.
It's about pushing your mental abilities
Yeah.
to their limits.
Huh.
And in that process,
Yeah.
creating something truly valuable.
Okay, so it's not just about working hard.
It's not just about working hard.
It's about working smart
Exactly.
and focused.
Yeah.
But why is this deep work so important now?
Right.
Is it just a fad? Or is there something more to it?
I think there's definitely more to it.
Okay.
The book argues
Yeah.
that in today's hyper-connected world,
Right.
where information overload
Yeah.
and distractions are constant,
Yeah.
the ability to focus deeply is becoming a rare
Yeah.
and valuable skill.
It's true.
Yeah.
It sometimes feels like everyone's just skimming the surface, jumping from one notification to the next.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where what Newport calls the superstar effect comes into play.
Okay.
In a globally connected world, the people who can consistently produce
Yeah.
at an elite level, thanks to their mastery of deep work,
Okay.
are the ones who rise to the top.
So you're saying that deep work is the secret weapon
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
of high achievers.
Yeah.
Okay. The book must have some pretty compelling examples of this in action, right?
Lots of them.
Okay, give me a few.
So, for instance, it talks about Nate Silver, the data analyst who accurately predicted
Okay.
the 2012
Wow.
U.S. presidential election results
Wow.
in all 50 states.
Okay.
His deep work
Yeah.
in analyzing vast amounts of data
All right.
allowed him to identify patterns and trends that others missed.
So his deep work wasn't just about crunching numbers.
No.
It was about extracting insights and making connections
Yeah.
that led to those incredibly accurate predictions.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
What about in the tech world?
Sure.
Any deep work superstars there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
The book talks about David Heinemeier Hansson,
Okay.
the creator of the popular Ruby on Rails
Okay.
programming framework.
Yeah.
His deep work allowed him to develop
Okay.
a highly valuable and sought after software framework,
Okay.
essentially revolutionizing web development.
So it's interesting to see how this concept applies across such different fields. Does the book talk about anyone who used deep work to achieve success across multiple disciplines?
Newport himself is a great example.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote 4 books,
4 books.
earned a PhD,
Oh,
and published numerous academic papers,
goodness.
all while securing a tenure-track position at Georgetown University. And he claims he rarely works past 5 or 6 p.m.
Wow. Talk about a productivity powerhouse.
Right.
Okay, so deep work is a key ingredient in achieving amazing things. And it seems to be applicable
Yeah,
across a variety of fields.
absolutely.
But if it's so valuable, why do we see the opposite trend in many workplaces? It's almost like busyness and constant connectivity are celebrated rather than deep focused work.
That's the paradox, isn't it?
It is.
The book dives into this tension
Okay.
between the need for deep work and the cultural forces that devalue it.
Okay.
It points to things like open offices,
Okay.
which are designed to encourage collaboration, but can be incredibly distracting, especially for those who require long stretches of uninterrupted focus.
So you're telling me that even though open offices are meant to foster collaboration,
It's counterintuitive, right?
they can actually hinder deep work.
They can.
That's a bit counterintuitive. Tell me more about that.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
You're constantly bombarded with visual and auditory distractions, making it difficult to truly concentrate on cognitively demanding tasks.
It's true. Sometimes you just need to shut out the world.
Absolutely.
To really get things done. I've definitely been more productive working from home. Where I can control my environment. Is that kind of what the book suggests?
It definitely highlights the importance of controlling your environment. But it goes beyond just physical space. The book also talks about the constant pressure to be connected, to respond to emails instantly, to maintain a social media presence. It creates this illusion of productivity. But it constantly pulls us away from the deep, focused work that actually moves the needle.
It's almost like we're addicted to the ping of a new notification, even if it's completely unimportant. And
the book gives some pretty sobering examples of how this addiction to distraction can affect even those whose work demands deep focus. For example, it mentions that the New York Times encourages its writers to be active on Twitter.
Interesting.
Even though serious journalism often requires intense focus and deep thinking.
It's like we're being pulled in two opposite directions. One towards deep work, which helps us excel, and one towards constant distractions, which ultimately hold us back.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's like there's this undercurrent pulling us towards the easier, more instantly gratifying activities, even when we know that deeper work would be more rewarding in the long run.
Is there a name for this phenomenon?
Newport calls this
the
principle of least resistance.
Principle of least resistance.
The idea is that without clear feedback on the impact of our actions, we tend to gravitate towards behaviors that are easiest in the moment, even if they're not the most beneficial in the long term.
And let's face it, checking email or scrolling through social media
so much easier
is far easier than concentrating on a complex task.
Absolutely. It's like our brains are wired for instant gratification. And deep work requires delayed gratification.
Exactly.
Which is much harder to stick to. Even if we know it's good for us.
Does the book give any examples of this principle playing out in the real world?
It mentions a study done at the Boston Consulting Group where a culture of constant connectivity was actually harming productivity and well-being.
Interesting.
But people continue to engage in that behavior. Because it was easier and more comfortable in the short term.
So even when there's evidence that a certain behavior is counterproductive, we still stick to it because it's easier.
It's just easier.
That's kind of disheartening, isn't it?
It is. It highlights how much we operate on autopilot. Defaulting to the path of least resistance. And in the absence of clear metrics. For evaluating knowledge work. This often leads to what Newport calls busyness as a proxy for productivity.
Busyness as a proxy for productivity.
We end up mistaking activity for achievement, even if that activity isn't truly valuable.
It's like filling your day with meetings and emails and feeling productive.
Exactly.
Even though you haven't actually accomplished anything meaningful. That's definitely a trap I've fallen into before.
I think we all have.
But if busyness is the default, what does the book suggest we do instead?
That's where deep work comes in. It's about making a conscious choice to resist those easy distractions and instead focus on the work that truly matters.
It seems like there's a connection here between deep work and finding meaning in our work.
Absolutely.
Is that something the book explores?
Absolutely. Newport argues that deep work allows us to cultivate what he calls craftsmanship in our chosen fields. It's about approaching our work with a sense of skill, care, and dedication.
So it's not just about getting things done.
No, it's not.
It's about finding satisfaction and purpose in the process of doing them.
That's exactly right.
And that sense of purpose can transform even the most mundane tasks
even the most mundane task
into something meaningful.
Right.
For example, the book talks about a master swordsmith named Rick Furrer, who finds immense satisfaction in the deep work of his craft, even though it's physically demanding and requires intense concentration. So even though the world might be pushing us towards distraction and shallowness, this book seems to be saying we can push back.
Yeah, I love that.
And choose a different path.
Absolutely.
One that is more focused, more meaningful, and ultimately more rewarding. But how do we actually get there?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
The book offers a variety of strategies for incorporating deep work into your life.
Okay.
And it emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
I like that.
It's about finding what works best for your specific circumstances and work style.
Okay. Tell me more about those strategies and how I can start incorporating them into my life.
Sure. One thing that's great about the book is it offers several different philosophies of deep work scheduling. Because just like you said, there's no one right way to do this.
So instead of saying you must do this, it's more like, here are a few ways to approach this based on your own work and life.
Yeah, exactly. One approach the book talks about is the monastic philosophy.
Monastic philosophy.
This is about cutting yourself off from distractions completely. Almost like a monk retreating to a monastery.
So that's for the extreme deep work devotee. I can see how that would be effective, but it doesn't seem very realistic for most people who have jobs that require some level of communication and collaboration.
Absolutely.
Are there any other options?
Of course.
Okay.
The book also talks about the bimodal philosophy.
Bimodal.
This is about alternating between periods of intense, focused work and periods of more open communication and collaboration.
So it's like finding that balance between deep work and the other demands of your job.
That's right.
Does the book give examples of people who use this successfully?
It does. Think of Carl Jung, the famous psychologist. He had a secluded retreat where he would go to focus deeply on his writing and research. But he would also return to the city to see patients and engage with the world.
It's like he was intentionally creating those shifts between deep work and interaction.
I like that.
I like that. The book also talks about Adam Grant. A Wharton professor and best-selling author who schedules blocks of time for deep work, but remains accessible to students and colleagues during other parts of the day.
So it's not about becoming a hermit.
No, not at all.
It's about strategically carving out time for deep work while still fulfilling your other responsibilities.
Exactly.
Then there's the rhythmic philosophy, which is about integrating short bursts of deep work into your daily routine.
That's right.
This one sounds a bit more manageable.
A little more bite-sized? Yeah. Does the book give any examples of this?
Think of Theodore Roosevelt. The book talks about how he managed to excel academically.
Wow.
While also pursuing a ton of extracurricular activities.
Teddy was a busy guy.
He was known for his intense concentration during dedicated study periods.
So he was basically squeezing in those deep work sessions whenever he could.
Exactly.
And it proves you don't need huge chunks of uninterrupted time to benefit from deep work.
Yeah, I love that.
Even short focused bursts can make a difference.
That's right.
I like that. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
About my own busy schedule.
Too.
What about for those of us who have really unpredictable work days?
Yeah.
Are there any tips in the book for us?
There is.
Okay.
Newport calls it the journalistic philosophy.
Journalistic.
And it's about seizing those moments for deep work. Whenever they present themselves. Kind of like a journalist finding time to write. Amidst a hectic news cycle.
So it's about being adaptable and opportunistic with your deep work time.
That's right.
Does the book give an example of someone who uses this approach successfully?
It talks about Walter Isaacson, who's written biographies on Steve Jobs, Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, wow.
And Albert Einstein.
He's a busy guy, too.
Right. He was known for his ability to retreat to his bedroom.
Wow.
For bursts of writing.
Really?
Even during social gatherings.
That's commitment.
It is.
So we've explored a few different philosophies of deep work scheduling, the monastic bimodal, rhythmic and journalistic approaches.
Yeah.
Each one offers a different way to integrate deep work into your life.
Right.
And the key is to find the one that best suits your personality, work style, and circumstances.
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's say we've chosen our deep work philosophy.
Okay.
What's the next step?
Yeah.
Do we just dive right in?
Not quite.
Okay.
The book also emphasizes the importance of rituals and routines.
Now, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Give me all the rituals and routines. I'm ready to optimize my life.
All right. So one of the key things Newport suggests is developing a ritual for deep work.
A ritual?
This might involve setting a specific start and end time for your deep work sessions. Defining your workspace. And establishing rules to minimize distractions. It's like creating a mental trigger. That puts you in the right mindset for focus.
I see. So if I always do deep work at my desk with noise-canceling headphones on and my phone on Do Not Disturb, I'm training my brain to associate those things with focus.
Precisely. You're creating an environment that signals to your brain it's time to shift into deep work mode.
Makes sense.
And sometimes to truly solidify your commitment to deep work, you might need to go a step further and make what Newport calls a grand gesture.
Grand gesture. I like the sound of that. Tell me more.
Think back to how J.K. Rowling checked into a 5-star hotel to finish writing the final Harry Potter book.
Really?
That was a pretty grand gesture. It's about creating that clear separation between your everyday life and your deep work time.
So it's about going above and beyond your normal routine to create a sense of importance and commitment.
That's right.
Around your deep work.
And sometimes those grand gestures can lead to incredible breakthroughs. The book talks about Bill Shockley, who made a discovery that won him a Nobel Prize while he was working away in a hotel room away from his usual distractions.
I love that example.
It's a good one.
I guess sometimes we need to shake things up.
Sometimes we do.
To really unlock our potential. And while a lot of the discussion around deep work focuses on individual effort, the book also acknowledges the value of collaboration when it's done strategically. So we're not just talking about locking ourselves in a room and avoiding all human contact.
Not at all. The book explores how collaboration can enhance deep work, but it needs to be structured in a way that allows for both interaction and individual focus. It highlights the hub and spoke model.
Hub and spoke.
Where you gather ideas in collaborative hubs, but then retreat to individual spokes to process and develop those ideas deeply.
I'm picturing it like a bicycle wheel. Where the hub is where we all come together to share ideas. And then we all go off on our own spokes to do the deep thinking and development work.
That's a great way to visualize it.
The
book uses the invention of the transistor at Bell Labs as an example of this model in action. While the initial brainstorming and problem solving happened collaboratively. Deep individual focus was ultimately required for the breakthrough.
It seems like so much of this is about finding the right balance.
I agree.
Between seemingly opposite ideas, collaboration and solo work, deep work and rest, focus and flexibility.
You've hit the nail on the head.
It's all about being intentional and finding the right mix of approaches that work for you, your work and your goals.
That's right.
Okay, but how do we move beyond these big picture ideas and actually start implementing deep work in a practical way?
The book suggests borrowing principle from another great book on execution called The 4 Disciplines of Execution.
I love it when great books build on other great books.
Me too.
Okay, so what are these 4 disciplines? And how can we apply them to our deep work practice?
The first discipline is focus on the wildly important.
Focus on the wildly important.
This means identifying a few key ambitious goals that you want to pursue with your deep work time.
So instead of trying to do everything at once, we choose a few really important things and put all our deep work energy into them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the book suggests focusing on what it calls lead measures.
Okay.
To track your progress toward those wildly important goals.
Okay.
Instead of getting caught up in outcomes.
Right.
Which can be influenced by a lot of factors outside of your control.
Yeah.
You focus on the specific activities that drive those outcomes.
So it's about focusing on the input.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the output in the context of deep work. This could be tracking the number of hours you spend in a state of deep focus.
That's right.
Each week.
Exactly.
So it's not just about setting goals.
No.
It's about tracking the actions that will actually get you there.
That's right. What are some of the other disciplines?
Okay.
Another discipline is to keep a compelling scoreboard.
Keep a compelling scoreboard.
This is about making your progress visual.
Oh, okay.
So you can see how your actions are contributing to your goals.
Okay.
It's a great way to stay motivated.
It's like having a visual reminder of your progress, which can be really motivating.
It can be really motivating. What's the final discipline?
Okay.
The fourth discipline is create a cadence of accountability.
Create a cadence of accountability.
This means regularly reviewing your progress, making adjustments, and celebrating wins.
Okay.
It's about holding yourself accountable to your deep work goals and ensuring that they become a consistent part of your work life.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Different philosophies for scheduling deep work, rituals for getting into the zone, and even borrowing principles from a book on execution. But I have to admit, sometimes the idea of dedicating so much time and energy to deep work can feel, well, a little overwhelming.
Right.
What about downtime? What about relaxing and recharging?
Yeah, good question.
Is there even room for that?
There is.
In the world of deep work?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the book actually stresses the importance of downtime.
Okay.
For recharging your ability to work deeply.
So it's not about pushing yourself to the point of burnout.
No.
It's about finding a sustainable rhythm.
Right.
That includes both deep work and rest.
Exactly.
Okay.
The book talks about the value of a strict shutdown ritual at the end of the workday, where you completely disconnect from work.
Right.
Allowing your mind to rest and process information unconsciously.
So that means no checking emails after dinner.
Yeah, ideally not.
Or working late into the night.
Try to avoid it.
It's about drawing a clear line between work time and personal time.
Precisely, the goal is to create that separation.
Okay.
So you can come back to your work feeling refreshed and energized.
Makes sense.
And it's worth noting that downtime doesn't mean ceasing all activity.
Right.
The book talks about the value of productive meditation. Where you engage in low-key activities that allow your mind to wander and process information without being tethered to a screen.
I like that.
Yeah.
So instead of just zoning out in front of the TV, we could go for a walk, listen to music, or even do some gardening.
Yeah, those are great examples.
It's about giving our minds a break while still allowing them to work in the background.
Exactly. It's about finding those activities that allow you to recharge and come back to your work with renewed focus and energy.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense.
Good.
But I have to be honest, the idea of training my brain to focus for extended periods can feel pretty daunting.
Yeah, it can be a challenge.
Is there anything in the book
there is
about how to actually strengthen our ability to concentrate?
The book dedicates a whole section to practical strategies.
Okay, tell me everything.
For strengthening your deep work muscles.
I need all the help I can get.
All right, so one of the suggestions is to practice concentration exercises.
Okay, concentration exercises.
This might involve things like memorizing a deck of cards or trying to focus on a single task for an extended period without giving in to distractions.
So it's like any other muscle.
That's right.
If we want to get stronger, we have to train it consistently.
That's the idea.
Okay.
The book specifically mentions Ron White, a former USA memory champion.
A memory champion?
And his technique for card memorization.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
A memory champion must have...
He does.
Some pretty incredible focus skills.
They're remarkable.
Tell me more about this technique.
He associates each card with a vivid image.
Okay.
And then places that image in a familiar mental location.
Okay.
So, for instance, you might associate the King of Hearts with a picture of Elvis Presley.
All right.
And then place that image in your living room.
So you create this elaborate mental map of images to help you remember the order of the cards.
Exactly. It's a way of training your brain to focus and hold complex information in your mind.
And the benefits extend beyond what's card tricks. It's about strengthening your overall capacity for concentration.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Okay. Yeah.
So we can train our brains to focus like a memory champion.
It's possible.
But are there other ways to improve our concentration?
There are.
Okay.
The book makes a surprising suggestion.
Okay, hit me with it.
Embrace boredom.
Embrace boredom.
I know, it sounds counterintuitive.
That sounds a little counterintuitive.
It might seem strange, but we've become so accustomed to constant stimulation that we've lost the ability to simply be bored.
We have.
And that's a problem because boredom actually plays a role in strengthening your attention muscles.
So it's about resisting that urge.
Yes.
To constantly check our phones or seek out distractions.
That's right.
And instead allowing ourselves to just be, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
Even if it feels uncomfortable.
It's about teaching your mind to tolerate
the
absence of novelty.
Yeah.
Which ultimately builds your ability to focus on more demanding tasks.
That's exactly right.
I guess it's like anything else.
Yeah. If you want to get good at something, you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. You do. Right? And speaking of getting outside of your comfort zone, the book suggests a pretty radical strategy for reclaiming your attention.
Okay, what is it?
Schedule your internet use.
Schedule your internet use.
Okay, I'll admit this is something I struggle with.
I think a lot of people do.
Tell me more about how to schedule internet use effectively.
So the book suggests that instead of mindlessly browsing throughout the day, you allocate specific blocks of time for online activity. Outside of those blocks, you stay completely disconnected.
So it's about being deliberate with our time online.
Yes.
And not letting the internet control us.
Exactly.
Okay, and this leads to a really interesting point the book makes about our relationship with technology.
Yeah.
It's not about demonizing the internet or social media.
No, it's not.
It's about being intentional about how we use these tools.
Absolutely. The book introduces the concept of the craftsman approach.
Craftsman approach.
To tool selection.
Okay. I'm really intrigued by this. Tell me more about this craftsman approach.
Okay.
And how it applies to the digital tools we use every day.
Sure.
So instead of just blindly adopting every new app or platform that comes along, we should be asking ourselves if it truly serves our goals.
Absolutely.
And enhances our work.
That's right.
It's about being selective and thoughtful.
Yeah.
Just like a craftsman carefully chooses the tools that will help them create their best work.
Exactly. The book uses a great example of Forrest Pritchard, a sustainable farmer, who's very particular about the tools he uses. He prioritizes tools that contribute to soil health above all else. Because that's fundamental to his farming philosophy.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's not about the tool itself.
It's not.
But how it's used.
Right.
And whether it aligns with our values and goals.
That's right. Are there any other examples in the book of people who have adopted this craftsman approach to technology?
Yeah, like in other fields.
It talks about Malcolm Gladwell. And his decision to avoid Twitter.
Interesting.
He felt it didn't contribute to the activities that were most essential to his writing career. So he chose not to use it.
That's a bold move.
It is.
Especially in a world where it seems like everyone is on social media.
Yeah, these days,
Yeah, it highlights his commitment to protecting his time and attention.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to another, possibly even more radical suggestion in the book. Quit social media.
Quit social media.
Completely.
Wow.
I think I just felt a shiver of fear run down my spine.
The book suggests trying a 30-day social media detox at least.
30 days.
The idea is that by stepping away from these platforms for a while, you can gain a fresh perspective on their actual role in your life.
So it's like hitting the reset button on your relationship with social media.
Exactly. And you might be surprised to discover that you don't miss these platforms as much as you thought you would. The book argues that often these services are far less important than they appear when we're caught up in the daily cycle of posting and scrolling.
It's like we get so caught up in the noise that we forget what it's like to just be present.
Absolutely.
And focused.
Yeah.
But for those of us who aren't ready to go completely off the grid,
right,
what are some more moderate strategies for managing our time and attention?
The book suggests a pretty structured approach.
Okay.
Schedule every minute of your day.
Every minute.
I know.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It might sound extreme, but by planning your day in advance, you can proactively decide how you spend your time.
Okay.
Instead of reacting to distractions and requests as they pop up.
So it's about taking control of my schedule.
Yes.
Rather than letting it control me.
Exactly. And this allows you to intentionally carve out time.
Okay.
For both deep work and shallow work.
Yeah.
Ensuring that you're making progress on your most important tasks.
Okay.
Without getting bogged down in busy work.
So instead of just letting the day happen to me, I'm intentionally designing it.
Yes.
To support my goals and priorities.
Exactly.
I like that. But even with the schedule, it can be hard to know.
Right.
Which tasks to prioritize. Does the book offer any guidance on that?
It does. It suggests quantifying the depth of every activity.
Quantify the depth. How do you actually do that?
The book recommends asking yourself this question.
Okay.
How long would it take in months to train a smart, recent college graduate with no specialized training in my field to complete this task?
So a task that requires a high level of skill and knowledge would have a higher depth score than a task that could be easily taught to someone with no experience.
That's right. It's a way to distinguish between deep work, which requires focused concentration and specialized skills, and shallow work, which can be done more passively or delegated.
That's a really clever way to evaluate my tasks and prioritize the ones that require the most focus and attention.
I agree.
But let's be realistic. Most of us have jobs that require us to be available during certain hours.
Yeah.
How does deep work fit into that reality?
Well, the book suggests a somewhat radical approach. Finish your work by 5:30.
Finish work by 5:30.
I know.
That sounds amazing. But is it actually realistic for most people?
It might not be feasible for everyone.
Right.
But the book argues that by setting a fixed end time for your workday, you create a sense of urgency and scarcity that forces you to prioritize and work more efficiently.
So it's about flipping the script on our typical work mentality.
Yeah, I love that.
Instead of letting work expand to fill all available hours, we set a firm boundary and then figure out how to get our most important work done within those constraints.
Exactly. It's a way to create a more intentional and productive relationship with our work.
I can see how that would be incredibly valuable. Yeah. But what about all those unavoidable distractions that inevitably pop up throughout the day?
Yeah, they always do.
How do we deal with those?
That's where the final strategy in the book comes in. Become hard to reach.
Become hard to reach. I'm all for setting boundaries.
Yeah.
But how do we do that without coming across as rude or unprofessional?
That's a good question. The book offers some practical tips for minimizing distractions and protecting your deep work time. One suggestion is to use what Newport calls a sender filter.
Sender filter? I've never heard of that. What is it?
It's about putting up a barrier for people who want to email you, ensuring that only the most important messages reach your inbox. You might require senders to answer specific questions or provide certain information before you respond.
So it's like a screening process for your email.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It helps to filter out the unnecessary messages.
Right.
And ensures that you're only spending time on the ones that truly matter.
Yeah.
What are some of the other strategies the book suggests?
Another suggestion is to put more effort into your email responses. Instead of firing off quick replies. Take the time to thoroughly address the issue and minimize the need for back and forth communication.
So it's about being more intentional with our communication.
It is.
And making sure that each email interaction is as productive as possible.
Exactly. And finally, the book suggests a somewhat controversial approach. Get me. Don't respond.
Don't respond to emails at all.
To all of them? No, but to some of them, yes.
Isn't that a little risky?
It can be. But the point is that we often feel obligated to respond to every email, even if it's unnecessary or unimportant.
Okay.
The book encourages us to be more discerning with our responses and to ignore messages that don't require action or further discussion.
So it's about being strategic with our communication.
Absolutely.
And recognizing that not every email deserves a response.
That's right. It's about protecting our time and energy for the things that truly matter.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into Cal Newport's deep work.
Absolutely.
We've explored everything from the philosophy behind deep work to practical strategies for incorporating it into our lives.
We have.
We've seen how deep work can help us achieve incredible results.
Find more meaning in our work and ultimately lead more fulfilling lives.
I agree.
It's clear that deep work is not just a productivity hack.
It's not.
But a way of life.
It is.
It's about making a conscious choice.
Yes.
To prioritize depth and focus.
Absolutely.
In a world that's constantly trying to pull us towards distraction.
Yeah.
And as we've seen from the examples in the book, it's a choice that can lead to extraordinary outcomes.
It can.
So as you embark on your own deep work journey, remember that it's a skill that can be cultivated.
Absolutely.
It's about starting small, building those mental muscles, and finding the approaches that work best for you.
That's right.
And who knows, maybe by embracing deep work,
you never know.
You'll not only achieve your most ambitious goals, but also discover a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction in all that you do.
I think that's a great point.
That's a great note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
On this deep dive into deep work.
Absolutely.
We hope it's inspired you to find more focus and meaning in your own life.
Me too.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Happy focusing.
All right. Take care.